peeps, and welcome to Tiki Techie. Today I'm going to look at a couple of graphics cards I bought as not working from eBay for £60. Looks like a Dell, I believe, OEM GTX 1070 and a PMY 1080. I plugged them in quickly to make sure they weren't working. I plugged in the 1070 and sure enough we get fan but we get no picture. I plugged in the 1080 and it started up straight away. I'm shocked. I never expected something like this. I've seen that both cards have a problem and I'll show you what the problems are, but I can't believe it works. If we can see on the power pins here, there are three what look like black marks on the tips. Now I don't know if they have anything to do with it, and there's some what looks like dirt there, so I'm hoping that a simple clean of these might work. These looking like burns may need to be scraped, but I have a microscope that I can use to give these a go. Now with the 1080 here, aside from this really annoying peeling that I believe happens to all these cards, because every second hand one I've seen has the same problem, the problem we have here is that there's an actual tiny, I don't know if it will focus, chip on the end, which means that it probably wasn't seating properly, being hung like this. But where I've got it sitting vertically, it's probably holding it in right. So the plan with this one was just to get some sort of epoxy or something, build up the plastic at the side and just try and make it more secure. But if it works as is, I don't particularly want to mess with it. Might see if it works in a horizontal position first before I go messing around. What I will do, being the age of these cars, I will open them all out, clean them out. I've got some contact cleaner, some decent paste. I might just take this off and clean that because it looks awful. But I am absolutely amazed that the one card that I thought definitely wouldn't work with the chip in it was fine. Just in case you're wondering, my little test bench is an old system that I was thinking about using to make my little media PC. What are you after? Hammer time! My little test bench setup here is some old parts I have from a system that I donated to my son many years ago, because I've donated in my last system before this system now, and this is what's left over. We have a Ryzen 3600 XT, a Asus B450-F gaming motherboard, and two completely over spec for this tiny system 8GB sticks of 3600 Corsair Dominator Platinum. So what I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my isopropyl alcohol, some cotton buds and something pointy to scrape the contacts of the 1070, see if I can clean them off gently and lightly, and if we can't, then I guess we're gonna have to do something worse, which would be scraping off the actual contacts. And I can either use a spare card, I can either use an old broken GPU, use some heat to remove the gold connecting fingers from the PCB connector and do a transplant with a tiny bit of solder, or I could just completely remove the gold fingers from the GTX 1070 and just replace it with solder. Okay, so here we are, back. I've got myself my isopropyl alcohol, some cotton swabs, some cotton buds, a little scrapey McJibble, a cup of tea. I've had a quick look at the board, and the board seems overall, the red PCB seems overall in pretty good shape. Now if we go through the pins, this is the bit where that little smudge is. There, it just looks like a smudge, nothing more. Oops. Just looks like more smudges, I hope. There's nothing there. That looks like it might be some sort of chip, maybe, I don't know. That shouldn't make a difference. No, most of it's there. Again, just looks very dirty. Lots and lots of dirt. It's not in as good a shape as I thought. Along these pins. As I say, I'm hoping that's all dirt. Now these three, they're the ones. They look kind of... Oh, if you're wondering, the pins are supposed to be like that because the signal's supposed to be sent through to the longer pins first. Or something along them lines, I believe. Now, these three pins here, these are the ones that I need to clean. So we will try with just good old isopropyl cotton bud. Let's see what happens here. Use a damp bit there, and a dry bit here, and it seems to be coming off quite nicely. Holy moolahs. At the end of the tip, it doesn't even look too dirty. A bit more the wet side. May as well clean them all whilst we're here. Now, onto the drier side. If this doesn't make your teeth go, then you're a better person than me, because it's actually giving me goosebumps the way it's making my teeth go. Ugh. Yeah, I'll see if I can down that down in edit. Okay. How are we doing there? Caught my mat. That seems to be pretty good. Let's try and clean these pins up as well. Just do a nice straight, go along the line. Let's see if the cotton swabs give less of a terrible sound. Oh, much less. They don't appear to have made any difference compared to the cotton buds. I think these might just be stained. They don't appear to be coming off all these ones. Well, hopefully that won't make a difference. Let's see if we can get this thing off. That looks like it might still be a little chunk out the side, and if it is, maybe a bit of flux and solder can fix that. Let's give it a whirl and see if it posts. Okay, I have no idea what I was on. It's been a mad last 5 minutes, but I now have plugged in the card. We'll give it a test, see if it works. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, it doesn't. I keep doing that. Old habits die hard. I'll tell you what, people knock these thermal take power supplies and how crap they are. I've had that one 8 years. It was my original power supply, and I bought it because it was about 40, £45, I think it was. It was very cheap, I know that much. And it's never set me wrong. Well, not so far anyway. It'll probably blow up now. But fingers crossed. Pins 3 and 4. Once we turn the power supply on, because we always forget to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this not metal? Pins 3 and 4. Let's see if we get a picture. We have a spinny blower fan, which definitely looks dirty. Probably needs a good clean out. We have a white VGA light. We still have a white VGA light on the motherboard. That's not good. That is not good. Now, as you can see, we have our white light there, which I'm sure is for VGA, which means that it's definitely still our graphics card. So it's a case of open it and clean it and see how it goes. Sometimes that helps, but who knows. So what we're going to do is we're going to open it, get out the old contact cleaner, give it a full clean, and see where we go from there. Fingers crossed we might just get something out of it. Hopefully I won't have to do any soldering or anything like that, because I'm not very good at it. Oh, 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 that hurts. I was thinking about just deleting everything I'd done with the cleaning of this card, because I've been searching online as I found some problems. I can't find anything that would show that any of these markings, etc., would make a difference. I've also found these tiny cracks. There is this here, which is that smudge again, which I can't clean, and looks like it's an actual burn of some sort, and it will not clean. These I can't clean, no matter how hard I've tried. These little smudges, they won't clean. But there still looks like there's plenty of connection, so they all look fine. Now, here, this doesn't look too good. This looks like they're all cracked. So I don't know whether I'd have to solder over each one or replace each one. I've looked online, but there is nothing out there about anything to do with these gold pins, other than I found one video which shows that you can actually heat them, take them off and replace them, like I think I mentioned earlier, which was a plan of mine if I had to do with the 3 that were burnt. But as you can see, there's a lot. Some of these look like just marks, and some of them are definite cracks in the gold. Now, what I've also found, if I follow some of these traces, there's this one that's been scraped somewhere, and the PCB masking or whatever they've got over it has clearly been taken off, and I don't know if this is going to cause a problem. It looks like it's still on there, but I don't know if this would mean I need to cut this out, replace it with some wire, or solder over the top of it, put some PC masking back on it, but there's one here and a tiny bit there. But whilst I was away, I had a good look at the board under the microscope, and I went as close as I could, which is this close, and I could find this absolutely minuscule. This must be 0.05 of a millimeter. I don't know, 0.03 millimeter. And these cracks here, they are absolutely tiny. And if you know how long the width of these pins are, you can tell they're not hair's width going across. So for now, I'm going to leave this. And I know I have a nothing channel. I'm pretty sure everyone who's a subscriber is a family member. But if anybody who watches this who has any clue on these pins and whether they're going to need to be replaced, whether they're going to need to be soldered, whether I can replace them with the replacement graphics card I bought, and whether these scratches need repairing or just covering, can someone let me know? Because I have no idea. I'll probably just attempt to lay tiny bits of solder along each one of these splits, followed by, I suppose, a tiny bit of solder up on these, a bit of solder mask, a bit of UV light, because that's the only idea I have. So if anyone has any ideas, let me know. And then in the next one, I've ordered some 2-part epoxy for the 1080, so I can create the bit of plastic that's missing, and I'll be able to file and shape that so it will make it more stable in the socket. And I will fix and clean that one, and then I guess this will become my practice soldering GPU, unless anybody knows another way, or a better way, or an easier way. So I'll probably leave it here for now. Hopefully I can get something done in the next week or so. I really want to do my PlayStation 3 emulation system. So whilst I'm waiting for the parts to turn up for this, I suppose I should probably get started on that and get something out rather than waiting another 2 weeks again. Thank you very much for watching. This has been a very weirdly damaged GTX 1070 and even weirdly working GTX 1080 PNY that I wasn't expecting to work. And I've been Neil, this has been Ticky Techie, and I will see you again soon.